got Valdemar up against Marea coming up next, and we're going to be starting off on Carmel yet again.
And seeing Carmel in this map pool makes me happy because we actually get to experience it on ladder and in a tournament. And I think that's what a lot of people have been asking for as well, just ensuring that we do have that balance. And this map pool right here, we can all relate. Except for Excavation, a little bit of a wild one in this set, if we do get there. But Carmel, let's see what these boys decide to pick. I do want to look at those bans though, because it tells us a story of where the game is at specifically. Both of them opting not to play against HRE or Zushi though.
Okay, this draft for Carmel is surprising to me, to say the least, because Valdemar, he does have Rus, and Rus is just S tier on Carmel. Instead, he goes for the HRE. Marea, on the other hand side, he is going to be going up with the Byzantines. And I mean, there are a good amount of berries on Carmel, but they're very far out on the map. Ooh, wow, man, this is an interesting one. I'm wondering what kind of play style Valdemar is going to go for here. Honestly, something that I could see happening here, and don't quote me on this 10 minutes into the game, because it might be something completely different happening. But at the moment, something that players can do, or that I've seen them do more often recently, namely, I've seen Chinese one tricks using this particular strategy recently to great success on a ladder, is going for mine work into Burgrave on maps with high food income. And because of the recent changes to Burgrave as well, the charge damage on Man-at-Arms has been increased significantly. Like, any charge damage from units from the Burgrave has increased significantly. Means that if they just get 1 or 2 hits in on a villager, that villager is pretty much already dead.
I think that speaks to the options that we have on a map like this, though. And I feel like what you said with Byzantines as well, they need to move out to get on the berries. And HRE kind of thrives on harassment. They can be everywhere because they're units that walk a little bit faster. And I feel like what we have with Byzantines, you also have your longbows that do take a while. And it feels like a very slow start, especially at the beginning. While HRE, they can quickly be in your base. They can quickly make units. It's not the civilization that needs to sit back and let the economy do the talking after a while. While Byzantines, you do have that early game investment that can quickly snowball into the wrong direction if given the chance. Now, we haven't seen a lot of these players get to play HRE recently. So I feel like Valdemar is going to show us the way of HRE, because this is a pretty strong civilization for him to have in this scenario. Now, especially if we get some plays on the food, I don't feel like pro scouting necessarily would be the answer, because you probably don't want to delay yourself like that. And you can just move out, especially if you are the one setting the tempo, right?
You definitely have the option to do so. The thing is, with Pro Scout, like, this map has 54, I want to say, deer on it.
Yes.
That's a good amount. Typically on a map, you see like 28 deer, so it's like almost double the deer that you can get. But if you go for a minework opening, then you already will be incentivized when it comes to making additional prelates, and then you're also incentivized into like maybe moving out, because you do have that additional mobility that you don't get when you're on the Archon. So I do get where you're coming from when with the skipping the Pro Scout play here. Byzantines for sure is not going to go for Pro Scout, but something that we're most likely going to be seeing here is going to be Dark Age aggression, because at the moment something that is very, very difficult to deal with is an unharassed Byzantine past like the 10-minute mark, because they're going to get to Cistern level 5, they're going to get the Golden Horn Tower in, they're going to produce a ton of units. It's a whole thing. So best to not let it get to that point, and just start off with a nice little Dark Age barracks, get maybe an outpost on the berries. And Byzantines without olive oil, they're just Italians.
And guys, I actually spoke to Beastie about Byzantines and getting tower rushed, and the man explained they're in a really weird spot. If you're up against a civilization that has the option of just thinking about it, well, like correctly said, they're going to be Italians pretty soon. And then what do you have? You don't have your beautiful, delicious olive oil to produce everything you need. So I do think that the spawn will tell us a pretty good story of what could happen here as well. But now, when I imagine Spearmen coming from HRE in the early game, it just feels like even if Byzantines responds and tries to stop it, their economy just isn't at the same level. So it does feel a little bit iffy if you try to fight it. So have you been seeing a lot of people try to fight off that early aggression, or do they just let it happen and go for something else?
I think it depends on how you want to fight it off. If you're gonna go for a barracks, like typically you do always have the Akratoi, but that is only gonna allow you, like, I want to say, a reset. You get one reset on that outpost. If it's about to go up, you pull the Akratoi, you send the villagers forward. Your villagers easily deal with Dark Age Spearmen. You can easily snipe your opponent's villager,
Yes.
but it's not really like sustainable, right? It's going to run out eventually, and then you got like these weak villagers. You also have some idle time in there as well, and the outpost can just get put up again. So you're very much on a timer there with your reaction. If you're able to deny the outpost at a critical point in time during your age up, you're able to get the archer range in, get like 1-2 archers out. Maybe you want to also rely on like Lemidnai. I think like maybe 1-2 Lemidnai early on. And then with the Akratoi, you got like the follow-up with the Lemidnai that can continuously do damage, not just during the Akratoi window. I think that's probably the best way to react to it. It's definitely rough. Like, it is one of those situations where, depending on your spawn, if you, for example, have the gold and the berries right next to each other, you're gonna have to make some very difficult decisions.
Yeah, I was thinking of exactly about that, or just getting your berries on a significant portion of the safer wood line under siege. It puts you in such a rough spot. Because HRE, they're so good at just making that, starting that tempo and just keeping it going because of that prelate just inspiring all the villagers, making this push even harder to shut down. So we'll see how aggressive Valdemar can be with this, though. Now, what I would like to just take a look at, though, if we're going to be getting the Dark Age shenanigans, let's say the game goes to the next one, is this something... What do you think about the drafts here? We have Lancaster and Marlians left for Valdemar after that, right? Oh, and Roos. Valdemar feels like he got a pretty good draft out of this.
It depends. I want to say like Marea has a very comfort pick oriented draft here going for himself. A lot of JD, a lot of French, so like these knight civilizations that he might just be more confident in. Valdemar on the other hand side, he's got the typical meta civilizations. HRE also has a comfort pick here for him, so to say. Lancaster also pretty good on a lot of maps, especially excavation. Like having Lancaster for excavation, that has to feel really, really good. You're not going to have to mine any stone at all. You're just going to send your villagers out to excavate, and that's going to be all your stone in there. And yeah, definitely a nice little bonus there on that map to have that civilization in there. I'm a little bit torn here, though, at the end of the day, because like French and JD, if played to their best potential, we've seen them like even win the most unfavorable matchups.
All right. Well, guys, it looks like we're going to be finding out what the first one is going to look like in a few moments. So are you guys ready for HRE versus Byzantines? Shenanigans.
All right, here we go, jumping into game number 1, and we do not have a Dark Age barracks, and we do have a Marine Lord spawn here for Marea. Oh my god, Whammon, look at the back of this man's base. You got back berries, gold underneath TC range, and you've got berries in the back again next to gold, and you got the neutral trade post in the back as well. We gotta check what kind of mercenary units can we get out that one. We get knights. We get actually... Oh my god. Oh my god. This is like, who did Marea pay off for the spawn?
Honestly, it feels like the game's realized, hey, Valdemar got HRE, pretty good civilization right now. You took Byzantines, you're going to need all the help you can get, especially if HRE does their usual shenanigans. But Valdemar opted for no shenanigans instead, and he's just going to go and play the standard HRE game. Now, not seeing Dark Age shenanigans from HRE feels pretty strange in the scenario. What do you expect to come from that? Do you think that this is something that Valdemar wants to just do in feudal? Or does he just want to play a standard, I'm going to go pick up all the deer type of game, this one?
Honestly, well, I'm not 100% sure where exactly Valdemar is going to try and go with this play now. Because Marea, like, I'm not going to be talking around the bush here. I think he's in a great spot from the spawn and from this premise in the Dark Age as well. Because he didn't prep at all for the potential of a Dark Age rush. He went out to a very far away stone mine, with his villagers. A Dark Age rush could have absolutely gutted him right then and there. So Valdemar, he's kind of just like playing completely into his hand. We are getting the Archon Chapel in a pretty good spot, but never forget, these are small gold veins here on this map. So it's not 4,000 gold, it is 1,600 gold that is safely inside of Valdemar's base. So the Archon isn't boosting 4,000, it's only boosting 1,600 gold. And there's a market right in the back that is blocking crucial farming spots there as well.
Yeah, it does feel like the Arcane is not the usual thing we would want to see from HRA. Those poor little farms are just going to be watching beautiful market trades happening at the back. Now, I do see that second cistern coming on out. And Marea, I mean, this has been standard for Byzantines, but you can see in the placement, there's a gold at the back. So if the front eventually does go down, he's got a gold right there, and it will be covered by that as well. Now, the villagers moving to the back here, we get the Grand Winery on a pretty safe spot. We have the wood line perfectly protecting whatever you would need. And now that cistern is also going to be reaching every single part of those berries. More stone coming in hot. Oh, and this is what I absolutely despise about playing as Byzantines. You just get so much economy, you don't know what to do with it. And this is going to make his eco very, very happy. Now, we'll see what Valdemar's move is here. We do see a lot of wood already in the bank, so this indicates that we will not be getting any fast castle shenanigans that we do see from HRE as an option. But or are we just getting one singular building into that? Because now I see 5 on gold and Crackety. I think I'm just eating my words, because 5 on gold spells something.
There's no mill. So no Pro Scouts coming in from Valdemar anytime soon. It appears as though he is going to go for a fast Castle Age timing. Might have overgathered a little bit of gold, though. Yeah, we do see him remacro a little bit. Villager gets pulled off over to food here now at this point in time. Yeah, I mean, the sheep gathering isn't quite as fast as deer gathering, so he is going to have to prepare for that. The question that I'm asking myself here is, how quickly can Marea follow up to the Castle Age? Because the cistern scaling, like, you only put 2 villagers on the cisterns, right? And once you're up to, like, that level 5 cistern, it is comparable, I want to say, to the Archon Chapel inspiration that you get. Sure, it's not the 40%, but 26% in a much larger radius means that your villagers are going to be way more often inspired. And also, you get additional bonuses in the forms of additional production speed or additional research speed or defensives on your buildings. Means that in those regards, like, Byzantines are very comparable eco-wise, but yeah, Valdemar, he's going for a very, very straight Castle Age up here now behind this.
The crazy thing with this is, like you said, a lot of people can't even play burger here because there's just so much food. So that's the crazy part. Valdemar has choices here, but I think in this case, you probably want to go for the relics, just secure yourself as HRE. HRE, they do pretty damn well when they do have those relics in their base as well. But Valdemar, he's going to show us his choice pretty soon. Marea, though, I feel like he's not going to have any way to respond. It doesn't matter what Valdemar decides to go for. Marea is not in a position to make buildings that can deal with units that might come his way. If there are knights to be the deciding factor. Ooh, we do see the Age going through, and it's going to be the Regnus. He doesn't have a production building to actually shut down anything. And the Night Call most likely is going to be accurate here, because those things are going to be so hard to actually take down.
Yeah, I gotta say, Wem, this feels a little bit like a Spanish play base here at the moment for Valdemar, as we do know Vortex and Lucifron, they're quite famously known for playing a little mini game with us casters. Just how many buildings can I fit inside the influence range of my Archon Chapel here in this one? Yeah, I think Valdemar is going to try and go for a quick game here rather than a long game. We do see a pre-move out on the Prelate, so he's going to send that one out early to try and capture up some of these relics now, very early on, as soon as the Age Up hits. Marea, he's still quite far away from the Age Up. He's going to need an additional 800 food, and he's going to need to get it up very, very quickly, I want to say, if he wants to get a comparable Age Up time, because at the moment only at 400 food per minute means that he's going to need at least like 3 more minutes to go for the Age Up. And we're actually seeing Keshiks come out from Marea at the moment. That's going to be an interesting one. Might be able to at least deny a couple more relics than if he went for the longbows. Long term, though, this doesn't feel that great.
It does feel limiting because we haven't seen Keshiks coming out of anyone for such a long time. Because when you do look at the other options, the late game scaling just feels so much stronger. Now, Marea, though, he's not going to take too long. We do see, oof, and look at those. Those knights would have been nice to have as well. As my wonderful observer is pointing out, we do see the first relic on its way back. Second prelate now going to be finding his relic. But these Keshiks might be able to shut down one if they decide to go onto the right one. Right now, it's more like a 50-50 here. And they will be splitting up to make sure they cover as much ground as possible. But there's a knight here as well to possibly protect this. Oh, no, the knight's going straight for the base. Never mind.
Ooh, we gotta always take into account Marea. He's coming from a team game background, so he very much favors mobile units rather than just, I want to say immobile units in the case of like longbows versus Keshiks here. So that might have played a role here into why he went for the Keshik play instead of the longbow play. He's kind of struggling at the moment with trying to keep these Keshiks alive, trying to keep them actively... Oh, actually, Valdemar was a little bit asleep at the steering wheel here. He's going to lose one of his prowess that was carrying a relic. Doesn't matter too much. He's going to be able to get more out, but we already do see the follow-up just from having these smaller gold veins here on this map. Means that Valdemar already has to move out to the second gold vein now at this point in time. And finally, we're getting the age up. And yeah, I mean, this is where the team game background kind of like shows itself, right? Like we're getting Cistern of the Hills here, Cistern of the First Hill. This could be a play into Cataphracts here. Are we getting the Jiggly build potentially?
I mean, the Jiggly build feels like quite an interesting answer to this game already. And now with Valdemar is going to have 7 knights on this Crackety. 7 HRE knights. This is such a dangerous spot to be in for anyone. The Keshiks, though, they do want to get that charge off, but not going to be risking their lives to be converted. 4 Keshiks. It does cause a little bit of chaos, and we do see at the top there are 2 red dots going into the HRE base right now. They might be able to do something, but right now they're just thinking about it, and slowly they do sink in closer, but the knights sink in too, and villagers are going to be under siege from both sides.
Yeah, both players are going to lose 2 villagers here, so even trades, but always got to take into account HRA villagers. You feel a little bit worse for losing them just because they can be inspired up to 40% compared to 26%. But Marea is going to lose some Keshiks, therefore it's maybe not the most efficient trade here for him, but he does, or rather is about to have access to those... to those wine kegs from the sister, and so we'll be able to heal some units up very, very nice and effectively. First couple of Keshiks, not Keshiks, Cataphracts also coming in. He is on Cistern level 5. Level 4 at the moment, actually. So he will have very quick production on these units. Valdemar, though, also very far ahead in the night count overall. The healing is going to be the deciding factor, though.
The problem is he can't make a move for any of these relics either, because it costs gold. And with him being pushed off of gold, or even just a knight for a little while, it's not something he can invest in right now. Another set of Keshiks coming in hot. And this is going to be a pretty big hit here if the knights connect, and they do connect. Another villager will go down, maybe even 2, and that's a massive pickup at this stage of the game. When you're losing villagers this early into the game, it feels tough to already think about what follows. Now, the Cistern of the First Hill is going to make these horses extra nice to handle, but the problem is just these knights in these numbers, they are able to do so much work.
Yeah, right now just causing a big delay. Villagers could potentially get found out on the berries there as well. Valdemar doesn't look like he managed to find them immediately, but right now Marea, he's in a little bit of a gold draw. Doesn't have enough gold in order to continuously produce Keshiks behind this, or rather the Cataphracts. But yeah, Keshiks at least are going to be coming in here. Veterancy on its way now as well. Valdemar, he's just continuing to flat out more and more of these knights. We're also getting more prelates in now. We're getting devoutness as well, so we'll be able to boost up the villagers even further with the inspiration. So a lot more resource could be gathered here. I mean, 5 relics for HRE. That is very, very significant. At the same time, 5 Cistern and olive oil. You're not getting any bonus olive oil just because you didn't get any relics inside of your base. We have a nice little TC hop there at the moment from Valdemar. Is going to be able to position his knights, but they're still not correctly positioned in order to protect these villagers, so could potentially find himself also losing a couple, and Cataphract's just so strong when it comes to killing villagers quickly. Just 2 hits from them without textiles is going to be enough in order to effectively take them down. And yeah, now we do see 2 additional villagers on Valdemar's side also going to be going down. Doesn't have any more flash stacks at the moment, so yeah, he's got to be very, very careful with how he wants to take this fight, because yeah, that's just a big ball of knights at the moment here from Valdemar chasing after these Keshiks. More in queue, but he needs them out on the field, not in the queue.
The problem is, when you have this many knights as HRE, Marea, he doesn't have a lot of stuff he can do to actually shut you down. We do see Cataphracts trying to find some damage, and he will be able to pick up another villager, but considering that Valdemar has already killed a bunch on his side, this is definitely not feeling too bad for Valdemar. With those 5 relics in his base, he's going to be having so much gold. With the market as well, he knows how much gold he's going to have. He's just going to be able to buy any resource he needs. Now getting Wheelbarrow 2 to ensure that those villagers can run away a little bit faster when those Cataphracts get on top of them. Now another Cataphract in queue, but I feel like Byzantines probably does not have the best situation when it comes to the food setup. And Valdemar, he's already thinking about the farm switch as well. Cataphract's getting a beautiful connection. They do go right through, but the problem is there's a lot of knights, and another Cataphract goes down along the way.
Yeah, behind this Valdemar, he is somewhat struggling for food, but has managed to find a way to wall off those deer there. So he's going to be able to get a good amount of food there. And that's just a lot of deer now at this point in time. Definitely something that he needs, as he does drop down a little bit in the food transition period. But honestly, Byzantines, they're quite fine when it comes to their food transition. I wouldn't really say that they're behind there in any aspect up against the HRE. At the moment, like Valdemar, yeah, he definitely needed those deer coming in now.
It's such a tough spot that you can be in at this point, because you feel like, okay, I need to get this pump, keep this pump going. But Valdemar, he is making so many prelates, and I'm so excited about this. Do we have inspired warriors already upgraded or not? Not yet. Let's go click on that cathedral.
But we are getting herbal medicine for even quicker healing.
That's going to mean that when they do get charged on, they're just going to get healed to full. Amazing. Oh, all that gold is going to good use, guys. And this is what Valdemar is optimizing, ensuring that he can keep those knights healthy. Because now Marea is going to have 8 Cataphracts. But as we saw those berries, that's a lot of food that is going into these guys. 2 of the Keshiks now a little bit far out, and they will maybe send off some signals that there is some shenanigans going towards the back line, but the knights are kept busy and they will be chasing them down. We'll find out where.
Yeah, Keshiks at the moment just completely distracting the majority of the knights there from Valdemar, but yeah, the walls do mean that the knights actually get lured into this position, so maybe this is a good opportunity now for Valdemar to take an engagement. Does have the prelates in position as well. And Marea, is he actually going to try and take this fight? He is starting to... Yeah, no, he knows that maybe not the best fight for him to take here out in the middle of the map, and next to all of these prelates and next to all of these knights, he might want to just tap on the brakes a little bit more. He's going to be able to take down another villager here, though. That's definitely a nice little pick-off now. And yeah, it means that actually overall, economy-wise, these players are fairly similar. It's just the current army value that is out on the field, where Valdemar definitely has a big lead at the moment. Just a lot more production value. Granted, a lot of that destruction value, I want to say, comes from killing Keshiks, which are inherently kind of free.
And getting to these numbers, you're going to probably want to take on these big fights. It does look like this round is pretty dominating here. Valdemar absolutely destroying these Cataphracts. But as I say that, I see a few of his knights falling themselves. They do not have their prelates close by to heal them back up. But the army value is still double here for Mr. Valdemar. And the red horses are falling crackety.
Yeah, it's a lot of very, very weak knights, but not getting focused here by Marea means that they are potentially just going to get healed back up to full after this one. Yeah, Marea, he realizes and has to tap out. GG comes in. Valdemar going to be able to take game number 1 and position himself now on match point in a set.
This graph tells you this HRE story hitting. I absolutely love this. The fact that HRE hits castle, and you can just see that graph for the military value lead. It is just expanding, 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 expanding. And that must feel pretty damn good. Now, with the economy, there were some raids coming through. We do see the flat lines hitting pretty hard, but Valdemar, he stood strong. And with those counter knights, he definitely did some pretty good work.
Honestly, Whammon, I'm quite surprised that we saw the Cistern of the First Hill coming in here. Honestly, like, you get such a big economic advantage just from going for the Golden Horn Tower. It kind of evens out the fact that your opponent got 5 relics. Like, 5 relics, that's like 10 villagers, but Golden Horn Tower with 5 cisterns, that's like 12, 13 villagers worth of production that you're getting in there. Gives you a leg to stand on. But yeah, up against this mass knight play with the healing as well. Like, if your opponent has healing as well, the Gulp kind of gets devalued quite rapidly here. I kind of saw just Marea trying to go for some of these raids, not able to really pick off too many villagers here and there. And if he doesn't get that much value and loses a lot of his military in the meantime as well, like Valdemar, he was just scaling so many knights here. He was even able to take the fight here up against the Keshiks and the Cataphracts.
And Cataphracts, they're so nice and chunky. You would want them to do so much more work. Marea also having a few military upgrades here for himself. Valdemar's knights were just superior. And you can see the moment he tapped out here, he knew there's no way I'm amassing this amount of horses in my army again. I'm a little bit cooked from here on out.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate situation there for him, but we still have more games to come, and the next one is going to be on Gorge. And Valdemar, jumping the gun a little bit here, I want to say, with the House of Lancaster, not keeping them for excavation. No, he thinks, okay, I can just pick them immediately in Gorge and we'll be able to advance through. I mean, House of Lancaster, they're a pretty good civilization to pick at the moment. Up against Jeanne d'Arc, though, which will want to put on early aggression against you. I gotta say, Whammon, like, that is actually one of those situations where JD early aggression can really hurt against House of Lancaster, because JD gets experience even for taking down buildings. And if there are houses in front of your base that cost 300 resources each, 30 experience for every single one of them, it adds up quite nicely. So ram timing there, I honestly gotta say, like, Marea could be in a pretty decent spot here with the Civ matchup.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing of all the civilizations that he decides to pick. He gets the one against Lancaster. And I think for him as well, he might have thought, okay, Lancaster definitely going to be on excavation. So for those of you who don't know excavation, you put a village inside and you get a little bit of passive stone coming in, which means that Lancaster loves that. They get to build out everything they need. But now on Gorge, we're going to get stone the old-fashioned way. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hop on in.
All right, and here we go. Game number 2 now, up between VS Valdemar and Real Marea here on Gorge. Currently match point now for Valdemar, and we are going to be seeing some Dark Age shenanigans going on here with the House of Lancaster, as Valdemar is opening us up here with the barracks. Whether it is to deny a little bit of gold or whether it is to lure in the deer, we'll have to wait and see. Honestly, up against JD, just because she's such a powerful and strong individual unit, typically, I don't think you can really do a lot with, like, Dark Age Spearmen. Maybe if you go with an Outpost Rush as well. Looking at the map overall, like, this is a pretty solid spawn for Valdemar to open up with an Outpost Rush, because all of the goals from Marea's side are, like, on one side. There is one on the other side, but it's quite far away.
Yeah, usually we actually see a little bit of shenanigans from JD in the early game, but I'm absolutely loving the fact that Valdemar is turning this in putting it in his own hands and trying to deny that, because this is something we do see out of some civilizations, trying to tower rush the JD so that you can deny as much gold as possible. Now, with Valdemar rushing here, we'll see if he decides to send a villager as well, but this feels pretty heavy to handle if Marea does not see this coming. And with this scout being on the other side, I don't know if he's aware.
Yeah, 4 Spearmen, that's also quite the investment, I want to say, at this point in time. And at the end, though, Marea, he is going to be able to gather up enough gold for the age up. And yeah, I mean, follow-up should just be age up, get some archers out, which eventually you want to get up anyways in this matchup, because you're going to need the archers to build the rams.
Now, he actually getting 5 means he could go a little bit deeper into this, but getting a house, if he gets this house, that's a pretty big pickup as well, especially considering that JD struggles for wood in the early game. Now, I do want to see if Valdemar does use one of those spears to try and push his deer a little bit closer to the TC. When you have such a huge amount of units here, I do think you get to decide a little better with what you want to do with that. We do see the deer packs being relatively convenient, but being on the same side, they can also get shut down so quickly. Marea now, he's in danger of losing that house.
He is going to start repairing it now, though, and one villager is easily going to be able to out-repair these couple of spearmen there on a house. The cheaper it is to repair. And yeah, so not a big deal here at the moment. He does have a couple of villagers gathering wood. It does cause idle time. It is repair costs as well. Something to keep in mind as well is that Jeanne d'Arc does actually have to pay full price when it comes to building these economy buildings as well. So the mining camp going down, that's not 25 resources lost as it is for French. Instead, it is the full 50. Actually, spearmen, oh man, TC range can be so
iffy.
I want to say like confusing at times, because we just saw one of the spearmen actually getting hit there by an arrow, and then the second the TC was like, nah, I'm not hitting this guy anymore. It's not worth it.
Now, this type of aggression, and you guys can imagine, this is annoying, but it's not killing the house just yet, but it is denying a lot of actual production building. There's just that little bit of fixing up. You guys can see that wood going down. It was hovering there under 150 for a while, and he just couldn't get it up. But now a tower goes up instead. And the problem is just, do they burn this? No, never mind. He got a drop off, and the villager will be able to repair it just in time. And now, with that tower up, he should be able to keep this house nice and safe.
Whammon, you might not know this, but in team games, or rather in the pro team game meta, this outpost here from Marea is known as a pressure outpost. It is an outpost that achieves absolutely nothing in order to protect your villagers, because now you can see like the villagers, they're still exposed. It's just there for pressure. It's for the mental damage. Any individual that cannot handle the pressure put up by this outpost, that's where it's effective against. But looks like Valdemar, he knows the effective range of that outpost, and yeah, he's just skirting around it at the moment. We're actually investing into some horsemen here early on, just because he doesn't have the gold at the moment.
That feels so expensive, but yeah, like you said, no gold, but also he's got no wood. He definitely struggles with wood now. There's no wood to make an archer range. Those horsemen, they come out of production buildings that were already included in the age up. And now, luckily, the horsemen not able to find damage against the spears, but they do find a nice little housing situation in that tower that will fire against said spears.
All right, at this point in time, though, enough is enough. JD has now leveled up. We do have the Hunter JD coming in, so she will start picking apart these spearmen here. Does have a good amount of bonus movement speed as well, so should be able to catch up to them. But looks like at the moment, where he's just content with sitting back, wants to make sure that his gold income is going to be secured. Up to 3 horsemen now, and now Age Up finally comes in for Valdemar behind all of this, and we'll immediately start seeing some manners coming up now. And we talked about earlier, like if this goes into like a feudal age versus feudal age aggression type game, if those manors get harassed by rams, like that's a ton of experience potentially going over to JD.
And what I really like to see is that Valdemar knows this. He knows the weakness of House of Lancaster in the sense that they are harassable. Marea going out on the deer here. He's like, I'm going to be the one putting down the pressure, so I will be the one getting all the deer. Now, Valdemar, he's got a lot of spears here, but he didn't overcommit here onto the manors. He has the right amount of manors in his life. He's only building 3. Well, soon 3, crackety. So he'll have 3 manors here, which is not much of an overcommitment. It still gives you that passive resources, and at the same time, you didn't invest too much that you feel like, oh, I cannot make units for the next foreseeable amount of time. Because now JD is here, and she's looking for damage. So we do see that red blob running around with the horsemen. Spearmen, they do need to be careful, and we do see them respecting the sticks chasing after them.
Yeah, Yeah, Marea, I'm a little bit wondering at the moment what he's doing. We haven't seen him produce any more units. He did get an economy upgrade. Also seeing Wheelbarrow now coming in for him. First Knight now in queue. But nothing really that allows him to pressure Valdemar long term in this position. He is going to be able to at least block the deer luring, the deer pushing, the deer shove from coming in at this point in time. And the Manors are positioned nice and safely. Yeah, I think Valdemar, he's just going to go for the age up now behind this. There's no real way at the moment from Marea, timing-wise, to stop this age up from happening.
It feels like JD needs to do that damage, and she's not going to find that in any capacity here. The problem is just when Valdemar ages up, he's also going to be able to get some pretty strong units either way. So in this case, do you go for the King's College, or do you try to play it safe and go for your White Tower? Now, though, the Horsemen are taking a little bit of fire, trying to shut down this gold mining, but they do respect the fact that those arrows hit pretty hard when Knights aren't the ones tanking them.
Yeah, now we do see those archers coming in. Looks like we do have the answer to your question. It is going to be the King's College. King's College is an excellent landmark when you're up against these knight civilizations like JD, like French, because of the color of SS upgrade, where your knights are just going to be doing a lot more damage than your opponent's knights. +6, it's like heavy maces for knights there. We do see JD able to pick off another spearman there. Spearmen are going to dive onto her, but she's got a lot of HP and no bonus damage on these spearmen, mean that it's actually going to take a decently long time to take them down.
I love these
have a little
charges.
bit of a... Yeah, just some... Oh, the villagers now pulling the short bows. Healing comes in from JD. She does manage to survive, but that is a lot of damage that you just took. And yeah, Valdemar with the short bows here, able to make JD back off at least for the time being. Now the age up comes in. What's my resurrection going to be? He's going for his own age up.
Yeah, exactly. Not getting anything else in the queue. He's going to be in a pretty good spot to get that age up. But now it feels like you're forced to go for the guild hall, right? Because you did not get any critical amount of knights. You barely have a knight. So that one knight who's a little bit damaged, he's not going to be wanting to do a little bit of a Royal Institute play. Guild hall feels like it's forced here, and it feels like you are pushed to play the late game against the civilization that loves playing the late game.
Yeah, now Master Nobles also coming in. Call of SS surely soon to follow up. Valdemar also already preparing the monastery, so will want to vacuum up those relics on the map. Marea, honestly, I think he might still just have to go for the Royal Institute, just because otherwise, if you don't go for it, you just don't really have a way of dealing with those Lancaster Knights. But he is choosing to go for the guild hall here. This is a very, very difficult situation now for him, Wham, I gotta say, because like this is not a move from position of power at all, as we do have the first knight now marching across Marea with all of his forces forward. Does not really have an answer to that.
Yeah, you can see he's desperately trying to find an answer, but Valdemar understands what civilization he's up against. He plays this game more than most people do, and he is absolutely knowledgeable in these things, so he knows exactly the weaknesses. If you cannot find an opening, then you are going to struggle, and getting that early aggression just set the pace for the rest of the game. And now he does what he did with the HRE game. He gets a knight, and that villager just got deleted. Oh my goodness, did you see that damage?
Yeah, a lot of damage going out there. Second villager not gonna go down here. Marea just about to be able to hit his own age up, but behind us the army composition from Valdemar already countering him out. Master Nobles, we do see those Demi-Lancers now getting a charge off into the economy as well from Marea. All the military units now coming back, but what are they really coming back to? Because his army just does not counter. Okay, there we go. We're starting to see Arbaletier come out. Arbaletier definitely a decent answer here up against all the units that Valdemar has. It's just about the army mass, though.
The problem is JD, she's also not loving this right now. This is a very weak unit to have, especially with all these low HP horses as well. Valdemar respects the fact that JD could be sniping things down. He doesn't want these guys to be damaged at all because, as we know, you can't build them. They don't come out of stables.
Most importantly, importantly, Demi-Lancers, they don't have like great stats damage-wise at all. But when they die, they give the full amount of experience of a knight over to JD. So if any of these stimulants goes down, that's an additional 24 experience for JD right there. We do see healing coming in. JD does get a little bit of a surround on her, is able to weasel her way out. And yeah, every single knight that's going down, 24 experience here, 24 experience there. But is it going to be enough? There's still a lot of knights remaining here, and yeah, it's just too much. Marea, he's got to call it. GG comes in. Valdemar able to take the set 2-0 in a clean fashion.
That was so fast. Valdemar knew exactly how this matchup worked, and he had the right timing at that moment. So Valdemar looking very strong with these knights, though. I'm really impressed to see how well he's maneuvered in both games. And he just knows exactly when to hit, where to hit, and he kept an eye on every corner of the map. Just like he preaches, he does. And definitely seeing great play here. Marea, it says 5 relics. Did Marea pick up all 5? Oh,
he
my
did
goodness.
not. No. Marea didn't pick up any relics. I'm not quite sure where that's coming from. I think these might be... Yeah, there we go. I think those were mix-up stats. There you go. No relics picked up.
Yeah, I almost got a little excited. I was about to say, oh my goodness, Marea, you are pumping between all of this chaos, picking up those relics, girl. No, but I do like to see that Valdemar knows exactly when to attack, where to pull back, and yeah, we'll see what he does for the rest of the show, because my goodness, is there a little bit of a hype around Valdemar qualifying? And that's what I wanted to ask you as well, Crackety. So Valdemar, he is in a bracket with Core and KJJ. So now he's set in the qualifier match. Do you think that Core has that chance to take down someone like Valdemar?
I'll say that Core messaged me earlier today saying that he's sick at the moment. So it's like, okay, you're sick. You already have an excuse should you lose, prepped ahead of time. Honestly, like, Core is one of those players that I think really shines up against a player like Valdemar, because Valdemar, he plays the game a ton. Core doesn't play the game that much. Like, he has his on and off days, but he does have a full-time job at the end of the day, and he is not just like full-time playing there at the end of the day. So but he is, I want to say, very knowledgeable, and I want to say, like, I say a lot the word I want to say, but I want to mention that Core utilizes scouting very, very effectively and efficiently, and typically tends to draw the right conclusions in the macro department. That's something that I see a lot of other players, even at the high level, especially sometimes Valdemar as well, struggling with, like, drawing the right conclusions from the information that you've scouted. So these are just situations where I think Core can easily beat Valdemar in those situations, depending on the matchups.